powerful because you're writing the history of our company with each line, and anything that you put on a quote, they're literally writing out the history of our company. So I'm like, when you don't write it well and the guys are confused and the job don't go well because you didn't write it and make it very clear because there was lack of clarity, and who the heck wants to call you, interrupt you while they know that you're busy to figure out the job that should be simple enough for you to explain. So anyway, we're just focusing on like, what
Love
did
it.
we learn from this? So I have a lot of bad jobs and I have a lot of really good jobs. It's like we're doing this boom, 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 boom. It's like we're hitting the ceiling, hitting the floor, hitting the ceiling, hitting the floor. And I'm
Interest.
like, what
Oh,
is going on?
I okay. I have a question. What? That's interesting to me. There's such a variance. Like when you see a bad job, what is the reason for the bad job? Do
So, and
you?
that's what I was going to get into. So I'm investigating it. So what I'm doing with this title is I'm marking it so that I know that it's job costed, and then I'm putting some notes about what was happening or what I didn't like about it. Right. So if I there's some that I look, and I'm using a lot of codes on these. I'll put like SL, PL, and CL. This one I'm looking at right here, and I would say that that's a sales loss, a production loss, and a client loss, meaning there was issues with all three areas. Sales wasn't
Interesting.
that clear, production didn't do very well, and the customers' expectations weren't clearly discovered and managed well. So then we did the job, and they were like upside down about what they thought they were getting and what they were actually getting. And so we went back to make it right. So it's like just little areas. So I'm taking these and I'm learning and I'm saying, okay, we're never doing this again. This price needs to go up, and you need to do like a drawing with this type of project so that it's very clear for the customer and our guys. So the reason why I'm seeing a lot of up and down is my crews really haven't been managed. We've literally been selling jobs at what we think is going to be great, and then we could go there and it could have been a great job, but let's say somebody left a little bit of like scraggly pieces of insulation down there, so the homeowner's like, I want to go inspect this. So they go and inspect it, and then they find like a little issue here, a little issue there, a little issue there, and they've got some customers are super detailed. They send you an email with 75 little things. They're like, well, it doesn't really affect your home, but we'll get over there and make it right. So we send a crew over there. And just for them to go over there, it's taking
Yeah.
like a half a day. So what I'm doing is I'm going, look, the job was bid to be done at one point. So all the material and labor that's equated to you going to do this repair, that's say that's $1,000, right? And
Hmm.
then I'm looking at it and saying, we can't do another job this day, or say they were there for the majority of the day. I'm like, we just lost at least roughly $2,000 from that crew, meaning that crew could have been making
Oh,
$2,000
yeah.
elsewhere. So what
It's
I'm
a
doing is
double whammy. It's
yeah, I'm
double.
creating
Yeah.
I'm creating a $1,600 expense and saying I'm tacking that to the job. So then it's like it's a loss, and I'm calling it a lost
Yeah.
PPD because
Yeah.
I'm losing the potential of profit that day because you're not doing a job, you're doing a repair, which all is literally just cost of money.
When
So
they go to do the repair, are they now clocking back into that job?
yes, yes, they
Okay,
are.
good. Good.
So
Good.
all of it's now being tracked. But what I'm like, I have one on here. It would have been a $3,000 profit job for one crew on this job, and it was all done in one day from a guy that's been in the game for a while and almost a brand new guy. Well, I think the lead on the project didn't really inspect the helper guy's work. So
Hmm.
when the
Hmm.
customer inspected it, they didn't seal every single ducting joint. They like did it here and there. And the
Yep.
customer was like, no. And literally, our contract states that we have to do every one. So the customer is like, I need this fixed. Well, normally we would go in and we know where all the joints are. We'll cut the insulation, uncover the joints, and seal them and repair them. But the customer was like, no, I want all this insulation cut off and I want it done right. So I'm like, okay, let's do it
Yeah.
right.
Of course. Yeah.
So it costed us $1,200 to do this freaking repair in between labor and materials, and not including like my sales reps time. So then I added a 1,600 lost profit potential or lost PPD, and it turned a job that would have been almost $3,000 of profit in one day with like $2,500 of material and labor on it into a almost a total waste of time. Like it was great, and then it got eaten alive the next time we went there. So I'm looking at that, and I'm giving that. I would give that like a money emoji, and I'd put Jamie's name, and I'm putting this all in the title so that I can quickly, when I'm having a conversation with them, I
The
can say,
GSR.
look, yeah, I can say, look at our jobs that have been archived. Look at all these double money emojis. These are great. And then look at this one. You did great. And then production destroyed you know what you were after. So I'm working on balancing it all out. And I had my first Monday morning meeting last Monday, and it was amazing. And I just talked about things that have been burning in my heart that I might have talked about one person here, one person there, one person there. And I was able to talk to my entire company at once and say, this is the direction that we're heading. We're getting ready to start doing GSRs. We're tracking every job. We're going to dedicate leads as project leads. We're going to be tracking their work. We're going to roll out a bonus program, all these things that we're doing. And it's what's crazy is my office manager, my sales rep, and even myself, we noticed how just having that meeting like boosted the morale of our entire company, which was crazy. I was like, man, this is sweet. So we're pretty
Yeah.
committed to doing that every Monday. And then I feel so pumped right now about my sales team because we've been having these meetings every Tuesday. And man, it was like almost 3 hours this last one, but we had so much stuff to get through. And so right now I have my sales reps on. You cannot send out quotes right now. I have to verify every quote because all these things change so quickly that I'm
Sure.
like, I want to verify everyone, and then I'll send them out. And if they reply, it'll go to you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing that, and that's good. I kind of just mainly did that for the first day yesterday, just checking all their work. Some of them I'm like, wow, this is a fat quote. And some of them I'm like, I'm adding $500 to this because I seen you doing this in all of my job costing where your labor was low and the profit was like, you just did like 100% when this kind of job could easily be like 150%, like adding 150% to the material and labor. So she's like, well, it's really easy. And I'm like, no. I'm like, your labor has been off and your numbers have been off. And she's like, well, it was cheaper then. I was doing the math at a different price. I'm like, yeah, but the hours were wrong too. So if we're now charging $40 an hour is the math we're doing everything based off of, and you call it 10 hours, but it's actually 20, we're not going for that. So when you tell me this is a 16 man hour job, I'm going, it's at least 24. So I'm going to go ahead and bump this up a little bit. So that's something that's been happening, and then viewing all their quotes. So it's like on one end, I'm catching all the crap that's happened and all the mistakes that have happened. And on the other end, I'm catching them before they go to the customer, making sure the quote is the accurate and understandable, clear, and as profitable as possible. And so I'm kind of catching it on both ends now, which makes me excited that I'm not going to have to see another entire month of jobs look like this. However, with all that being said, when I go to the gross profit, our profit percentage is at 34%. Even with those jobs that are like, dude, I've got one in here. It's like minus 140%. It's like there's
Oh
just
yeah.
there's some ups and downs. I've got some that are 13%. I've got some that are in 65%. This one looks like maybe one of our highest ones. I've got, yeah, minus 22%, 15%, 63%, 76%. Just a variation. And then, this is the job costing isn't 100% accurate. I think it's about 90% accurate in the sense that I know what it was quoted for, and it shouldn't have a bunch of extra material, but we're not like manually entering in what they loaded and manually entering in what they returned. So this initial job costing is just on the surface, and I'm working with Ply right now to see if what they even offer is going to work out for us because I'm not sure how the quantity is going to get translated from jobber to Ply without it being in the line item system. And because if I'm doing one, like there's 3 line items on this job and it just says 111, how are they getting the material data? And then how are they creating that expense? So I need to figure out how it would create that expense because if that's all it's going to do, I can't really use their software, and I'm waiting to chat with some of them. I've got some emails into them. I'm waiting to hear back from them. So I may just be having the guys writing in what they loaded, and it'll
Hmm.
be right there on the job, and writing in what they returned. So then I'll
Yep.
have a better, more accurate picture, and then
Yeah.
I'm creating all those in expenses instead of actual job costs. I'm just calling them expenses.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
getting cleared up. I think next step is going to be starting to enter this stuff into my MVP. I haven't even jumped into that. I've had a crazy week. I haven't even. I still got your paper on my desk here of what
Oh, it's all
you
good,
know.
man. Yeah.
I started working with CallRail. I started doing this, started doing that, and I'm like, darn. So I know I
Ken.
can get you into Jobber. Did you tell me to use
Oh,
your email, or did you
no,
say you
I'm
were going to
gonna
send me an email?
yeah, I didn't do it either because I had a crazy week, but I just wrote down in my notes, make up a 316. I'll make it like Corey underscore 316 installation or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
totally fine with me. Not a
um,
problem at all.
I had a
But yeah,
question, Ken.
go ahead.
Are you in Jobber? Like, are you using those fields where it says like salesperson, like whoever quoted the
Yes.
job?
Yep.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
great.
That's all
And
very clear.
okay, nice. And then and what about like the referred by? Like, are you putting those in at all or
Yeah, so those are
starting?
coming in. Those are coming in initially. And the referral, let me go into the marketing thing because it's got a referral tab. So um, I would say yes and no, and that's
Okay,
actually something that I wanted to go kind of dig a little bit into today is because like right now I'm just looking at this entire month and I have um certain leads have come in. Well, no, that's not right. I don't know what this is. This is weird. Anyway, we are using the referral thing, and that's really on our office people that when they're taking the call that they say,
yep.
hey, their referral. So I've got 13 referral um,
And you know what
leads
with this,
here.
it's like you just try your best.
Yeah, we're
Um,
working in the right direction.
no, referrals is like a referral program. So if
Yeah,
someone,
yeah, that's how
yeah,
it's being tracked in Jobber for sure.
but if you go into that report and one off,
Report.
um,
You're talking about lead source, client lead source,
no, that one off job report we were in,
one off job report. Yep.
um,
We go close within, and then you're
then
you're. Go ahead.
and then there's like so I have the salesperson in there, and you can filter by salesperson, right? So I could go.
Yes.
What is the gross margin of like I can immediately pull up the ones I've been quoting and they're
Yep.
pretty good, but I have one there here that says it was a 5% gross margin. So like I did a bad one, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I can also see my other guys. So if you were doing a meeting with them, you could go, "Hey, Johnny, here's your last 10 jobs, and here's where
Yeah.
they're at." Like I can, because I've written down when my guys do the quote, they mark themselves as the salesperson. Um,
Yeah. So
so
it
I can
should automatically mark them now.
nice.
Um, if they're
They
logged
might.
in.
Oh, that's
So
how they've
you're
been
you're talking
doing it.
about you're talking about quotes or salesperson data. So the way that I would look at what you're talking about is I would just click on quotes and go, and then I can filter the salesperson. I can't do it from one-off jobs,
Oh,
but I can
interesting,
do
because
it
it's in because I'm in one-off jobs right now, and then it's got a
really.
column that says salesperson.
Let, let me, oh yeah, it's got a column that says it, but you can't, it doesn't have the button at the top to just click the
No,
salesperson.
but if you click
It-
on the little, filter button beside salesperson, it will
yep.
literally lump them all together. So I can go, boom, I can see
Oh, let me
all
let me let
Dustin's.
me let me check that out. I didn't know that it would do that. So
Yeah.
that is something I was missing. Let me look at that real quick. Close within. Yeah, I just know that like in the quotes tab and the quotes report one, you can just click salesperson at the top and make a filter out of that. And I think let me see where are we at here. Sales rep, um,
Yeah.
salesperson.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can just
Do
hit
these
the
show
button.
gross? See, the only thing in quotes though
Okay,
is
I
that
see now.
I don't know if um
Yeah, if the
I
job's
don't know if
done, how,
quotes,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know if it's showing gross margin.
No, it's not. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not. It's
That's
only in the
why.
jobs one.
Yeah.
for sure.
And that's
So
super important. That's super important. It's probably more the most important of
yeah,
like,
I would
hey,
agree.
who's quoting this job and where are the margins coming out at? And like, because when I go, I'll click 50 on a page and I can literally scroll through Dustin's jobs and I can go, man, this guy, he's actually quoting a little too high of margin. I actually told him to
Hmm.
calm down. Okay, let's go to Eli. I can immediately go boom, 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 boom. Yep, man, Eli's crushing. Okay, let's go down to Matt. Let's see
So
Matt's
how are
jobs. Boom.
you? So I'm in
Yeah, I'm gonna share my
um
screen.
yeah, so I'm in the one-off job, and when I click on the salesperson, it does lump them together, but I can't really go to the bottom of the page and get the info.
Um, yeah, so yes. Do you see my
Yeah.
screen
So,
here?
yep.
So I just went, I don't know. I did last 30 days, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, boom, all mine are together. All
Yeah.
Dustin's are
Yeah.
together.
I've done the same thing. I was just thinking, like, for simple math, when you go down to the bottom of the page, it'll tell you if you're over in like gross profit, it'll tell you
Mhm.
the average percentages, but it's not doing it by sales rep. The way that I would get that, um, it's doing it that way, like across the board, but down all the way at the bottom, it adds it all up.
Yeah.
Um, I would prefer, that's what I was getting at with, I would prefer if they had a sales button person, you can click the button and it would just
Oh,
show theirs, not everyone
sure.
else's. So for me,
And
I have
all,
to bring this into Google Sheets and then filter it out that way,
yep. Yeah,
which
in your
will tell
MB,
me everything.
once you're in your MVP, that you could filter it by salesperson. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So
and I'm
I
just,
build that
for
out.
simplicity's sake for myself, I'm just thinking if I want to do a quick check on Eli, I'm going, look at his quotes here, like 68, 47, 80, 57, 47, 76, 100.
Yeah.
So, okay, I don't
Yeah.
need to worry about Eli's quotes. This guy's, he's crushing,
Yeah.
right?
That's crazy.
We can look at Matt. Matt is probably quoting larger jobs in some commercial, but even Matt, 41, 100, whatever, 22. So there's a small job though, pretty small job.
Yeah. So that's
74, 50, 46, 62, 62,
and
61, 75. He's crushing,
that's
you know?
showing the gross margin, correct?
Yeah, yep, yeah. And
Yeah. And I was gonna,
that's what
and I was,
that's what I'm worried about mostly. And if I saw some low ones, maybe Matt needs some training. But as of
yeah.
right now, these guys are crushing. And to be honest, I actually told them to lower the gross margin. I said, we're charging too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I could see that. And that's good. I would love to see some stuff like that. That's crazy margin there. To be in the 80s and the hundreds.
but
Super
you're doing
awesome.
more revenue, like you're more scaled out. So we have two totally different businesses, really.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. And we have not, apparently we have not gotten good yet at tracking people's info. We are, but like I see yours, you've got that data for each person. And I've actually been having to kind of manually go in and I've been changing the lead source. But out of like these 70 jobs, there was like 40 of them that had where they came from, that they were like from Facebook or they were referral or
yeah.
those types of things. So I'm tracking it more in the lead source area because then it kind of it shows it more in a graph, I would say, which is helpful for me. But
Oh, just so
um,
you know, Ken, these fields here
yeah,
are custom fields.
yes,
That
I
that I have added in. These are not like jobber fields. So, and
yeah,
these ones you can't really get at through here, but you can if you email this
yeah. If you
CSV file
email,
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
and we
will
do
do
that.
that sometimes.
We do have a custom field. I think I just disabled it. It was called Discovery, and it would say all of those things, but I didn't really use it a tremendous amount. Um, and I mean, I did, but I didn't. So let me see. I've got Discovery on right here. It's still actually here, even though I think it's been disabled. Um, because that's like getting, I don't know. I'm trying to make it simpler for my office people, and now we have all our calls coming through CallRail, but we don't have CallRail connected because it's not working the way that it's supposed to. I reached out to CallRail after I had everything set up well, and I talked to you about it and stuff. So I tried it, and I'm like, okay, I've
Hmm.
got CallRail connected. I take a call. and I have the filter set up to where it's not going to send the client's information to Jobber until I qualify the call or not, if it's a thumbs up or
Oh,
a thumbs down. So when you get to the end of the call and the person hangs up, it'll say, was this a lead, or not? So you like give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's like press one for thumbs up, press two for thumbs down. Well, while I was on the phone, I made the whole client profile of the person, set up their lead, their request and all that kind of stuff. And then I got off the phone and I classified it, gave it a thumbs up, and then it goes into Jobber as a wireless caller. It didn't search for the same person, didn't connect them in any way, shape, or form. And I made a
weird.
little loom and I sent it off to CallRail, and they said,
Yep.
yeah, you have to make sure that you save the person before you get off the phone. I'm like, that's exactly what I did. And it didn't work right. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. So I'm waiting
Oh,
on some more
weird.
responses from them,
Okay.
because I want to have it connected because I mean, with CallRail, we haven't linked into everything in our website. So it's like I can see the
Yep.
first time that they clicked, on Google,
Me too.
anywhere, what page they went to, all that kind of stuff. But if I don't have it connected, it's not working out well. So, um,
Yeah. See, like here's a call rail call, and
well,
I
if
don't
you
know.
go, yeah, if you
This
were to
this
go,
actually this probably came in last night, right?
yeah, it was probably just a
Um,
call nobody took. And that's the
but
frustrating thing is it grabs just like it puts a name for it, and then it might have the number. And if you were on the phone with the person, that's the complexity that I'm having is that it's not connecting. So I got to
yeah, so
deal with
ours
them.
Ours is though, Mel, like Mel says, she when she was if she was on the phone with this client, she would have just created a new person in Jobber, and then
Yep.
when this request comes in a few minutes later, it actually grabs that person that she created. So
Yeah.
that's how it should
So it
work.
has, and I'm not sure why it's not doing that on my end, but the only
It's
thing that
glitching out a bit.
yeah, the only thing that they actually have when they call in through CallRail is they just have the phone number and all the history that comes along with it, right? So if I create a
And
client with that phone number, in my mind, it's supposed to connect with it,
this
and
used
it's
to
not.
leave the call
Voicemail
recording.
recording there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it now it's not working. So we're actually working with CallRail 2,
Yeah. It
going back and forth trying to get it back. So,
it was doing that on ours when we first connected it. Now it's not either. I was like, I swear it was. It's
and
cool to
it's
have that link
here.
there, but yeah,
Yeah, I
then it
know.
takes you
I
into
know.
call rail.
I mean, for
Um,
me though, I just love to see this, right?
yeah,
That's what I want. That this is the beauty because now I don't have to ask this because if you ask this person, "Hey, how'd you find
yeah,
us?" They'll just say Google or they'll
yep,
say I searched online, which isn't
yeah,
really the and my Google guys like, "Well, what do you mean Google?" Like Google's not enough for them. They want to know.
yeah. So let me look at this guy right here. So, um, yeah, so I don't know why it keeps coming through. The lead source says other. So I'm thinking that my office doesn't have a good way of classifying some of these things, or some of where these clients come from, and they'll just say other. But let me see. Let me click on this
You can
guy.
customize like the referral, like where the call came from. You can make
Yeah,
like as many as you want in there.
yeah, and I get that. I think that they're having a hard time doing it. My office manager has been a little bit overwhelmed, and then I swear this guy came in through a web request through CallRail that if we had connected with him and it was connected, I'm pretty sure it might have pulled that information, but he doesn't even have a lead source here. So I'm having some difficulty setting things up with my company to like, hey, we have to track these things. Right now, I have shoot, in the last 30 days, we've added 96 leads to our jobber. So that means that I probably got 120 of these that I need to dig through, which maybe I need to deal with about 70 of them. So I need to go look them up in CallRail and say, where'd they come from, kind of thing. If I just left it, which I could, we're looking at having at least 12 to 1,500 people contact our business and get into our jobber this year. I really want that 100 people or so, that data. So I may work on it here and there. We'll see what happens. But we need to get better at definitely tracking their information. It seems like it was doing better when I had them using the discovery button, like when they're creating a client. And they just like you have the additional client details. We had discovery custom field there. and we would hit it. I actually need them to really be serious about using this lead source thing. So I have to work on them with that. We'll get it figured out.
Yeah, I
Let's
do.
see.
I do even still with my admin, I'll be like, hey Mel, I'll actually get her to reach out and be like, can you find the lead source if I know it?
Mhm.
And then it kind of reinforces like I need you to get that lead source ideally. I don't
Yeah.
like to see too many come through that say unknown.
Yeah. So I got to work on clearing that up, and then yeah, my sister Janae, she's our operations or whatever you want to call her. She's running the business by and large in a lot of different ways, but at the same time, she isn't. So she's still taking a lot of calls, and she was training a new office gal, and the office gal has been having a hard time getting up and running. So it's like she feels like she's doing a couple more jobs right now, and then she just bought a house, and then she's dealing with a lot of that stuff. So it's like, there's been a lot of things going on that have been a little complex for her to work through. And then it seems like I'm always throwing more stuff at her, like, hey, we have to do a thumbs up or a thumbs down in call routes. Like, I didn't know that. I'm like, I know I didn't either until my SEO team was like, what is going on with all these calls? These are all bad calls. I'm like, no, we didn't know that you wanted that done. They're like, yeah, we need it
Yeah.
done. So we've been working through that too. I've just
Oh,
been digging through a
interesting.
mass amount of data. Um, and my
I'm not doing
SEO
that.
team,
I'm surprised my SEO guy hasn't pushed me on that. I'm surprised
yeah, so
actually.
my SEO team, they had their own call rail type setup, but it was a different software. And then I jumped on with call rail and I was like, look, we're going to use call rail. So you're going to have to know call rail, so they're fine with that. But she's like, hey, you had, 150 calls in January. Like, what if these were, good or bad? I'm like, okay, let me work through them. I just told her I'll have January taken care of by our next meeting. So I'm a little bit behind on that, but we're working through it and figuring out ways to kind of classify people better. Let's see. And then, yeah, so lots of things to work through. I had a good week with getting through the job costing was great. I feel like that is major, 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 major important information in all there because,
I agree.
if you're not seeing how you're losing and how you're winning, I don't know how you're going to keep winning and stop losing. So um, that's pretty good. I'm pretty excited to just be through that. I kind of got some data things that I just need to work through. I do want to start moving in the direction of getting the MVP set up, but it's like I still need to have some meetings with some guys. I still need to set up and even look at some of the GSR stuff you said over because I've had some Zoom meetings with people, and I want to have some more like GSR style meetings, but I need to start storing that information somewhere, and I haven't even got into
Yeah.
that GSR file that you sent over. So I got to dig into that stuff too. It's not going to happen today. I have a marriage weekend thing at my church, and um, I've got like my baby's 4 month pediatrician visit this morning at 10 a.m. And then I still got to get a 1940s outfit together for tonight's marriage retreat thing. And, so I'm like, Friday's kind of a wash for me. So I'm going to do what I can today. Um, but yeah, I did want to get a P&L over to you, but I think we had talked about just getting you into my MVP.
Yep.
Um, let me get some fresh pages over here because this is looking crazy because I need to refresh my memory. Um,
I was looking through our notes from last week. I mean, I I love that you're doing the job cost. I think that's great. And then honestly, man, I would just block schedule some time in for yourself this week to, pick a new implementation item and block schedule it in for, you know what I mean? So that
yeah, I
say we
need to.
meet say we meet next Friday, you could at least go, look, I planned on doing this on Tuesday and I actually did get it done because I made
Yeah.
time for myself.
Yep, and I need to get on the scheduling. I've been on a scramble since I got back with all this new stuff. When I got back from Dominican and connecting with you, it's been really
Oh
awesome.
yeah, me too.
I would say that just getting this opportunity to connect with you consistently, I think has been invaluable in the sense that like I know some people in BTA, but I don't really connect with them like this. And then I'm I'm kind of in essentials in BTA, or not even essential. I just moved back to foundations, and I'm like in the third class of foundations, and there's just a lot of work to do in that. But I have a lot of other work that's like we're doing good, and we have to work on all this other stuff too at the same time. So, this is kind of next level for me. Just having you here to be able to say like, hey, this is what's going on, and have that little additional layer of accountability to kind of start stepping in the right direction. And I do need to work. I actually sent myself a message this morning like, hey, you need to schedule out next week because I had so much
Yeah.
crap to work through last 2 weeks that it was like, I'm just going to just go hard and just go crazy. And that hasn't worked out well. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
We're all the same, man. We
yep,
like if you don't block schedule, like I have to block schedule invoicing time for myself because I don't want to do it. And
yeah,
I'll go to some networking meeting and I'll go shake hands and
yeah,
I'll do something else
yep,
that I think's more fun, or I'll implement some Zapier Zap because
yep,
I enjoy doing that. So like it literally every day I have to write invoicing in my own calendar. And even
yeah,
I'll put it in there for 3 hours. I might still only do it for an hour and then do something else, but at least I did an hour because I
yeah.
won't do it. If it's not in there, I won't do it.
Yep,
Um,
and I'm having a little bit of difficulty there, so I'm going to start working on that. I am block scheduling to a large degree from 7 a.m. to noon. Like my work phone is set on a work focus. The only calls that can get through is really my office manager, just because right now she's had a lot going on. I didn't want her to feel that I'm leaving her in the dark, so she really needs my help. I wanted to help her. I feel her struggle, and she has the most vital position at my company, and so I want to support her any way that I can. So I'm kind of allowing her to interrupt me here and there, but for the most part, she's not. And just with my new schedule starting at 7 a.m. and working until 1 p.m. has been proven very fruitful for me. I've been getting a lot of stuff done and covering a lot of ground. Um, I did learn a little bit. So I'm reading that book, Profit. I think it's called uh, I can't remember the
pro
name of it.
Profit first
Profit.
or
Yeah. No, I'm reading Profit first. Let me grab this book. I'm gonna pull it out because I was just in class too in BTA, and they were like, "Hey, you need to." Oh, it's called Markup and Profit. Here's the book right here.
oh, okay.
I don't know if you. I can't. That's so crazy. You can't even see it unless I cover my face. It's
Oh
just called
yeah,
Markup
yeah.
and
Okay.
Profit. Anyway,
And
there's a lot of super basic stuff that it's just so funny to me that I just haven't really known it. So it's like when we're chatting about gross margin, like I understand that a lot better now. And I'm actually teaching my sales reps how to do that math equation when they're working out their numbers. So um, essentially, the way that the book teaches it is that you divide your profit by your price. You take your price and you divide it by the pro.
sure,
Hold on. Take your
sure,
profit and divide it by the price, and that gives you your margin.
sure,
Is that
sure.
yeah? So I didn't even know how to do that. I know it
Yeah.
might sound crazy. I know we've talked about it a little bit. You might have sent me some things over, but I'm like now I'm kind of getting to that place where I understand um, a little bit better of that to kind of see our gross margin. And I actually, with that said, so that's been cool to see that. I was just working on some quotes yesterday because so we do new construct when we do new construction jobs or we do like whole house insulation. Say there was fire damage and this house needs to be rebuilt, and we got to do the crawl space insulation, we got to do the wall insulation, and we got to do some spray foam here, and then we got to blow in the attic too. So there's like essentially four line items in my world, and um, I'm trying to separate things by revenue stream, and that's something that I'm stepping into. What I was wondering is there a simpler way to do the math? Because generally, right now, we would just, if we were going to do all four of those types of things, we would do all the material, all the labor, and then add the profit. And then that would just be the price for it'd be one line item. Now that we're breaking it down into line items, I'm trying to figure out if there's a simpler way to do the math on it because we're tracking the labor and the profit and all that for each line item. And I'm
Uh,
going, man, this is really redundant. Go ahead.
oh, I see. Okay, sorry. When you send out a quote and you're saying on that one quote, there is like two or three different services.
Yes, but we normally bulked it into one and gave them one price. And now we're trying to break it down into like price for this, price for this, price for this. And
Yeah. And then
I just
you mean when you go to put that number in your MVP file and you want to classify it as something.
yeah, well there I'm not even worried about the MVP right now. That's kind of next steps. I was
Sure,
just thinking
sure.
like yesterday when I had my sales reps had sent out some quotes and they were just one bulk price for all these things. And I'm like, well, spray foam has to be separated because it's a revenue stream for us. And then caulk and seal, which is where we caulk the base plates in the house and we foam seal all the penetrations for the electrical wires. Um, I want that to be a separate thing because sometimes we'll be dealing with clients and they'll say, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna have to
Mm,
cancel," and it's like, "Well, we already did the cock and seal," and it's like, "But now we need to go revise their quote to bill them for that cock and seal," and if it's just on there and we have it marked up, then we just go, "Okay, great, we'll bill you for that. You already know what the price is," and then call it a day, you know. So,
that's a tough
um,
one. That's a tough one. I do have custom fields, but they're my custom fields in job or like on a job are like I'm classifying the whole job as that field. So it's either residential renovation and we have them over 5,000 and under 5,000. Then we would have
yeah,
like new home construction, commercial,
yeah,
service. Like, and so even if I just pick one for the whole job, even though
yeah.
maybe there's, yeah, so that is a tough
So,
one. What you're
yeah,
trying
so
to really break it down more.
well, I am and I'm not. So, on one end, I'm like, I did that a little bit yesterday, and I was like, this is a lot of freaking work. So, I definitely don't have a problem separating the caulk and seal from the rest of the house and separating spray foam from the rest of it. Because if it's a new construction, it's just, hey, it's, I just need it to be clear that like this is a price for this, and then this is kind of the rest of it, and then this is the spray foam. But the whole thing has to be done. So really, one number could work, but I do have to have the spray foam at the very least on a separate line item because although it might be, we do spray foam in every area. So for you,
No,
you do electrical. Go ahead.
you can separate your line items all you want. Like we might have 20 line items,
Yeah.
but
I was just
but for
wondering
the
when you're doing all that math, it seems like you have no choice but to do the math by line item specifically. So maybe it was a dumb question. I just was having
you
complexities
mean
trying to
when you're
take somebody's
quoting it
bulk.
or job
Yeah.
costing it? When you're
When we're
quoting it.
quoting it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I have pre-built quoted items in Jobber,
Yep.
right? And so I've pre-built that price based on a gross margin. So like, puck light re and re.
Yeah.
$250 a puck light. I know that's going to be like 50-60% gross margin. And that's
Okay.
just pre-built into Jobber. Now my guys will sometimes just do it like the easy way to do it is 50% gross margin because you're really just doubling everything. That's the
Yeah. We
easy
do
one.
100% markup. Yeah. That's the easiest one for sure. So
But
I can
but
do that on some of these for
but you
sure.
can't like right now you're operating at a 30% gross margin, so you can't just start doubling everything and sending it out. Your clients will freak out. You know what I mean?
We have the other, yes and no. So a lot of our stuff is all new clients. So our
Sure.
existing clients, we wouldn't be able to do that. But, um, so if our whole system is showing a 35% gross margin, that's because of the failures. They're actually really being bid at 50%.
Okay, fine.
Um, but
Sure.
the new construction isn't. We talked about that a little bit
Sure.
last week of how that there was that difference in there. So I think spray foam generally we're bidding at about 85% markup. So I think that translates to like a 43% gross margin roughly, and like 42% gross margin, and then with new construction, maybe we're at like a 65 to 75% markup, and then we get like a 30 or 33% gross margin out of it. So there's some variation, but
You know what I do,
um,
man? I'll be honest, the way I do the calculation is I use a gross margin calculator on my phone. Because when I'm doing all our service work is
what
time and
gross
material.
margin calculator?
I'll tell you, it's called cost margin, and you can go in the app store and you can grab it. And I use
Let
this
me
little
take a look at
calculator
this.
like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, so the calculator that I use, I used to be able to speak to text to it, and they just eliminated that. So that's been frustrating because when we have a job, like I said, if it was a new construction and there's like 30 things to do on it, and you got to add all these things up, you could just say 300 plus 500 plus 900 plus 800. Yeah, it's you got to kind of put it in your face. So, okay, let me look at
And
that. I
yeah,
like that.
I use this calculator quite a bit. Oh, right there, buddy.
Yep. What was it called again? Find the app
Uh,
store here. I'm
cost
like
margin. And
cost margin.
so when I'm doing my invoices for service work, I literally, because the my costs are already in Jobber, right? Like say the guys
Yep.
bought $77 worth of material. So I put in cost 77. Then because it's service, I might go 60% margin,
Yeah.
whatever I'm feeling that day. And then it spits out the price, $192. So
Yep.
I actually never do any math. You could probably build a custom GPT if you wanted to talk to it more.
Yeah.
You could easily do that. You could give ChatGPT the calculation for gross margin, and then you could literally just be like, hey ChatGPT, my costs are $77 and I want to make 60% gross margin. What's my price? And it would literally tell you
Yeah.
192. I just happen to use this little calculator. It's makes
Yeah, I
it
think
keeps
I'll
it
try
straight in my head.
yeah, I think I'll try this thing out to see kind of how we want to do that because let's see if we want so how do I put in the margin here? I've got
So
markup. So we've got I put 5,000 cost and then it says margin 0%. How do you change the margin button?
I just click on it.
Oops, never mind. I think I was on the wrong one. Let me do 5,000 and then put margin. Well, hold on. Yeah, I'll deal with this later. I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all I do, man.
yeah,
I,
I'll check that out. That might be helpful for us because I just had to test. So I right before you and I had talked, I was working through potentially creating line items for everything with pre-built dollar amounts and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, it's too much work. But then I started looking into applying how that might work with my system, and I'm like, it won't. And then I started job costing at the same time, and I'm like, hold on, that's definitely not going to work because it'll like double the cost. So I have to have zero cost in jobber because I'm adding everything as an expense and as labor. So then I had to tell them, look, don't put the cost in there. But then it's not giving them the cost calculator that's pre-built into jobber when you're creating a quote. So now I'm like, you can use that if you want, but I have to erase those numbers to get to where I want to be. So if I have a cost calculator, that might be helpful for them. So I'll investigate that and see how that might help us.
and what my guys do is they put their math of how they built that quote. If it was like some thing that they came up with from scratch, they put it in the notes of the quote. I want to see those numbers. How many hours did you think this would take? How much
Yeah,
material and what gross margin did you quote it at? So that
yeah,
later on I can go back when we had a bad job and I can go, whoa, Dustin, you way underbid these hours or whatever.
yeah. Yeah, and that's I adapted that from you and we put those custom fields in there and I made sure to go through and fill them all out because it's very helpful in dealing with the sales reps to say, look, you bid this for 20 hours, it was 40, or I can see on the surface that all these jobs you're bidding, your hours are always low. You need to
And
bump your hours up.
I use that for my I have a production coordinator. He coordinates all the jobs. He's production guy.
Yeah.
Um, but I will go back to him and say, "Hey, man, Dustin quoted this as 1 day for one guy. Why did we send two guys and we didn't get it done in half the time?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
That's
This was
super
1 day
frustrating.
for one guy. Let's make sure we schedule it like that. So and then we can battle over that a bit.
Yeah. And that's good. So I'm just getting into it. I made sure all the data was correct. So now it's easy for me to say, hey, I can pull that report and I can see, look, you quoted it at 70 hours and it was actually 100 is what it turned into. So if we keep seeing your numbers off, I can just easily tell that sales rep, look, you need to add 15% to what you think is right because what you're doing isn't working.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you keep
Yeah,
bidding these
you're
jobs for,
consistent. Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, like my sister Jamie, she's consistently got less hours on there than it needs to be. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, there's no way this is going to work. This is $400 to do this. You put 250. So you put like almost half the amount of hours because it's not always going to go into $400. It might be a little bit more. So, um, yeah, so those are things that I'm working through. So I was really glad to get that from you while I was just getting rolling on job costing because it was a pain in the butt to get back through them and then update all of those and then select them as whether they were a business or a consumer or their repeat, which those are really profound drop downs for us that are going to be, I think, super helpful in determining where we're at on, where our work's coming from, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, you
working through
man,
all that.
once you have all the data, you might go, man, I hate working for this guy, or man, I
Yeah.
don't want to do this. I don't want to do caulking anymore. Man, caulking
Yeah.
kills us, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I I'm seeing a cool thing happen right now is our average invoices are up 16% from last year, which is good. That brings us up almost $600 more per quote or per invoice right now than we were last year, which is mainly just our additional price and labor because we were bidding at like say $35 an hour. Now we're at like $40 an hour. But I found out that my other old sales rep was bidding at like $30 an hour still. And I'm like, dude, I told you 35 like a year ago. You know, 2024 should have been bid at 35 at least. And
Yep.
so we're seeing a price jump there, which is pretty good. And then we're trying to figure a few things out. Oh, one question I had um, in consistent with have a bunch of line items. So say we have this line item, this line item, this line item, and they're all part of the quote, right? They all need to
Yep.
happen. Like
Yep.
we can't do your electrical without installing your boxes. Like you can't like say I
Yep.
don't want to pay for the boxes. So um, we have these things that we put on the quote. We would put like, say, if it's a spray foam job, we're going to have a miscellaneous cost of $200 because there's chemicals that we got to use, gloves, filters,
Sure.
cartridges, lots of little parts that go into it. So we might put $200 on the quote for miscellaneous, and then we're charging the processing tax for every customer. We're just charging them 220. So last year we had 500 customers. We charged those 500 customers $220 for processing, and then I think we only spent like I don't know. We did like 1.1 million in processing with Jobber, so we spent like 30 grand, but we charged
Yep.
like 60 grand for it. What I was
Amazing, man.
getting at
Amazing.
is I have, and that's super cool. What I
Yeah.
have though, the complexity I have is I have like, say I have four line items on here, and then I've got like $600 of cost here, and I've potentially already done my math. It seems like I need to add per line item, I need to add a little miscellaneous to each line item and a little bit of this processing tax to each line item. So I could
Oh yeah.
probably work that out because I'm getting to the bottom of the quote and I'm going, oh, shoot, I did all these line items. And then I have, $500 that I don't have anywhere to put. And it's going to affect my gross margin and all of that. And I already have that math done. I'm like, crap, I got to go back and add this to each one, change the price, figure out the gross margin. So I was working through that. What do you guys do for like common overhead costs that are directly connected to the job that are going to be there that are super hard to track? How are you guys factoring that into your math equation? Are you
So
doing it similar to what I said?
we had 10% to every estimate. So we have a tax in BC that you don't have. It's called PST. It's 7% on materials.
Okay.
So and then there's 3% for the visa fee. So
Okay.
that's our 10%. And my guys know to add that on to every single quote. Now,
So you
you
do
as the
that
client,
after you do all the math?
yeah, yeah, because like I don't need to make gross margin on PST or Visa. Like, you know what I
Got
mean?
it.
I kind of
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
it's fine. And really they're fixed expenses, especially the Visa fee is a fixed expense, but I'm actually
Yeah.
moving it up into revenue. Um
Yeah.
so even just accounting for it, like you're actually making money off it. You're doing better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just making sure we account for it. Not everyone pays by Visa, but um But when I send you a quote for an EV charger, you don't see any of that. You would never see any of
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. And
what,
my
yeah.
clients don't either. We're just
Yep.
charging them that. And I think that
Great.
that's healthy for us, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
figure out ways to do that math a little bit easier. And I think I might be able to develop a percentage. The complexity, I think, comes down to when we have varying jobs. We have jobs that are 5,000, we have jobs that are 50,000, you know?
So what
So,
I do something else. So when we quote, say, a brand new house, when I'm quoting that house, I would add in production management time. Right?
yeah.
And I would say this is a 200-hour job divided by, this many trips. How many hours is Jeff going to spend managing this job? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe we
Yeah.
throw in 20 hours for the guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just even accounting for it and thinking about it, you're way ahead of most guys. They're just not,
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the other one is um, okay, I'm doing a brand new house. How many times are my guys going to go to the wholesaler? Like they're probably going to
Yeah.
go to the wholesaler 20 times. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
add 20, let's add 20 hours in for that.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
client would never see any of that. That is
Yeah.
just washing out in the gross margin.
Yeah, and those are things that I'm working on with my sales reps right now of how do we make this a little bit faster. But I think my complexity with the all the separate line items was the quote was already built as one price, and then I had to break it down into separate line items. And then I'm new to this gross margin math and adding my percentage and all that. So it was a little frustrating. I'm like, I think this would be easier if I was starting from scratch. But I would like to. Um, I think I'll chat with them about maybe doing kind of what you're doing is not charging for those additional fees. Like we're charging for them, but not adding percentage to them. So it just would be weird for me. I think it'll be a little tricky when I'm doing the job costing of say, there was an additional 5% of this. I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to leave it the way that it is, but just trying to get better at those things.
And my,
Let's
my
see
guys
here.
just put it in their math down at the bottom,
Yeah, and
you
that's how
know?
we do it too. We're doing the
Yeah.
similar thing that you guys are doing.
I've
So
also,
anyway, I just
this would
like
be
to
for,
ask,
yeah. Yeah.
if you're like, oh yeah, we just for the math, we just have this number, just ideas are helpful for me because I'm thinking about it the same way you're thinking about it. We're just adding it to the quote and we're making money off it because it's cost to do the job. So for
Yep.
me, it's like,
Yep.
it is what it is. And then it just makes us more profitable in the long run. If on the back end, we're like, oh, well, hey, that works out.
It's all really at the end of the day, you're just raising your prices and it is increasing your gross margin. That's all you're really doing.
Yeah.
And to me, gross margin is my favorite metric. And most like business coaches would say that it's like
Yep.
it's the first thing you look
Come here.
at a company. How can you raise a gross
Yeah.
margin?
Yeah. Hey, hold on one second, Corey.
No worries,
What's
man.
that? Oh, one. Wife's waking up with
Actually,
the baby.
oh, that's okay. I
Yeah.
gotta go. I'm gonna go soon to my. I got my Friday morning workout, but I
Yep. I hear that.
I created my new installation email. So
All right.
add
Yeah.
me to Jobber when you get a sec.
Send that
I
over to
did.
me. I'll do that. Yeah. I just, just a little cap on like our numbers just to throw it out there. We've bid on already this year. We bid a little over $1 million of work. And that was 164 quotes for $1 million of bids, and
Just through
then we've
January, February.
closed just already. Yeah, we've already bid on $1 million of work this year, and we've already got almost 250K approved right now just from this year. So I think we're coming out strong. Our conversion rate is down to 30% from the end of last year. We were up in 50 something percent, but I've had a little bit of a rocky start with my sales reps. I've been beating them over the head with all this stuff that we're improving. And then it's just, getting out of the holidays. And then we've got snowy weather out here, a lot of things going on. The election, Trump's flipping the whole world upside down. A lot of it's been intense. So I think we're showing some strong numbers, honestly, for January. We're only in the seventh, so we're 5 weeks in, and we're at
Yeah,
250K in converted work. So
and some of
it's
that
looking
work,
pretty
like
strong.
your win ratio on your quotes down at 30, but I'm assuming some of those quotes that are unapproved right now will probably get approved in the future.
Yes.
They lag a
Yeah.
little bit, which is same as
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially coming into January. So things are looking good on my end. I think I'm just trying to figure out better ways right now to manage my cash flow. Um, just
Mhm.
you have all these jobs that are out there that are going on, and you're like, dude, I need to get paid. Just
Yep.
trying to manage all the costs that come in with the business. So I will work on getting you. If you send me over that email address, I will get you into Jobber and MVP right now,
Love
and
it.
I'll just send those over to you. And then I
Okay.
got so many emails to work through, but nice chatting with you.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
going to
You're
work on my
crushing.
schedule for block scheduling
Yeah,
for
yeah,
this
yeah. Do some
entire
block
next week,
scheduling.
get clear about the
Yeah.
whole week, and get you in here. And then, yeah, I'm going to dig into this
I'll
calculator
email
at
you.
some point too.
I'll email you throughout the week. I'll get in your jobber there, and I won't mess anything up, but
Yeah,
I do
I know
want to
you
poke
won't.
around.
You know what you're doing. So,
Yeah, yeah.
it's pretty
I
hard to
love
mess
going
it
in
up
people's
when you're,
jobbers.
yeah, when you know what you're doing, you can't mess anything up in there. So,
No, no, no. Yeah.
all
Okay,
right.
man. Let's
Did you
I
send
did.
me
I
that
sent you the
email?
email.
Okay.
I
I'm going
sent
to
you the
put you in there
email
right
and
now.
let's stay connected during the week. Maybe just yeah, do some block scheduling. Block schedule some implementation items in and you'll notice you'll get them done.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Gonna do it. How do you spell your last name? Was it B
BYRON.
Y R O N? Okay, BYRON. Okay, I'm adding you to Jobber now. I'll get you in my MVP,
Sick.
and we'll be. I'm gonna set you as like an admin in here, so you can go anywhere you want,
Sure, sure.
and do anything. So, all right, man. Well, I appreciate your
Okay.
time.
Hey, have
And
a
when
good
you get a
weekend.
chance, whenever you're ready to bill me,
Sure.
I'll pay it whenever that is. It's not a
Yeah.
problem. I extremely value this time with you. So, yeah,
Thank you.
it's been a real blessing. So,
I think you're crushing. I think you're
yeah,
going in the right direction. And you got a lot more like hustle and determination that a lot of people do, so
yeah, that's good. Appreciate that.
okay.
Yeah, I'll get you out of here. We'll connect. We'll connect. I'll try to touch base with you on like Wednesday or Thursday at the
Sure,
latest. I was just
sure.
last night going to church, and I'm like, oh
Oh yeah.
shoot, I haven't connected with Corey, and maybe
No,
he's
no,
too
it's all good.
busy.
It's
If
all
we
good.
can, and it doesn't. It's not the end of the world. I'm like, dude, if I still haven't done some basic things that we chatted about, so it's like if we miss
I'm
a week,
I'm
it's fine with me.
I'm keeping notes of our meetings, and then I kind of go back over them and I go, oh yeah, we need to get on that, or I need to send him a
Yep.
script for this, and
Yeah,
so
I
I'm thinking
appreciate
about you during the week.
definitely appreciate that. One quick question:
Hmm.
your recordings in Zoom. I
Hmm.
went to go find my recordings. I'm new to Zoom. I went to go find my recordings and I couldn't find them. And I had to pay like $10 for some cloud stuff. And I'm thinking maybe that will record them. I don't know what the heck's going on with that.
Oh, no, I recorded this meeting probably because I'm the host and I
Well, no,
recorded it
I know
on my
you are,
own.
but I'm talking
Oh,
about meetings I'm having with my people. I can't find the recordings and I have recording on.
oh, they mine save. Well, you can save it either to the cloud with Zoom or to your own
Yeah.
computer.
Okay. So it might be on my computer
Yep.
because I
If
didn't have the
I,
cloud thing. I just paid for the cloud thing. It's like $10 a month or something.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I haven't
it'll
seen
be
it.
on your computer in your documents. And look for a folder called Zoom,
Yep.
and you'll
And then I
find it in there.
haven't seen an email come through from you yet either about the email address that you got.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I keep refreshing my email. I haven't
All
got it yet.
right.
Anywho,
Let me check my sent.
I'm sure I'll get it.
New email
And
address. I'm an idiot. I sent this to myself. I sent it to my Van City.
I email myself a lot too.
Hint.
So
I do too. All right.
um,
I'm
from
cooked. Yeah,
various
yeah.
email accounts.
Oh yeah. I got a bunch
Email
in
my work email because I've got a lot in my work email right now I need to get through, but I'm really passionate about keeping it clear, cutting out spam and all that stuff so that I can stay like, hey, my email account is super important to me,
I
but
have
my other emails are crazy.
I have a bunch of BTA member emails, so it's like Corey at 316 insulation or Corey
Yeah,
dot plumbing, Peyton plumbing at Gmail. I
there we
make
go.
Gmails for all of them,
Got it.
so
Yeah, that's great. Well, as long as you can do it, let's go. I'm going
oh
to put
yeah.
you in right now and we'll be chatting soon,
Nice
man.
man. Okay. Have a good
All right.
weekend.
Yep, you too. Have a good one, man.
See you, Ken.
Chat with you soon. All right. Bye.